Hello crochet friends, welcome to Crazy Cool Crochet. This is Sylvia, and if this is your first time visiting, where have you been? Head over to the home page here on my channel where you will find so many really cool, really unique crochet projects. So click down below where it says Crazy Cool Crochet. That takes you to the home page. Then up on top of that, click where it says videos, and boom, you will see my vast library of really great crochet tutorials. The vast majority are full, complete tutorials. Every now and again, I'll throw in like a little modified, not exactly a tutorial, but I give you the detail of the main stitches. But that's only here and there. For the vast majority, it is a full tutorial, so take a look. And I always forget to ask this until the very end, but please do subscribe. I would appreciate that so much. Join the tens of thousands of other crocheters out there who have joined up with Crazy Cool Crochet. And of course, a thumbs up if you do enjoy this or any of my other videos would be super helpful. A comment is even better because you will be engaging with me, with my channel, and that is also very helpful. And I do appreciate that so much. So let's get started here. What we are making with this tutorial, as you have seen from the photos, is a really cool, here we go again, with something really cool. It's a crochet hooded wrap. You will notice that the hood is very different. It's oversized, and that is entirely by design. Something different. So now this is going to be a one size fits most. However, if you are smaller or larger than most, I will let you know how to adjust this pattern to fit your particular needs. Very easy. So now what I used here was a number 4. This is one of those thinner number 4s. It has a little bit of a sheen, and I chose that also deliberately, and of course because of the colorway. Look at those colors. How rich are these colors? Drapes beautifully and easily, and it's not heavy and it's not dense. That would be because of, first of all, the hook. I'm using a number 6 millimeter, I should say, 6 millimeter hook with a thinner number 4, and you might be wondering, wait, what? But that's very deliberate. That again is to give the stitches more softness, a little more openness. So let's go ahead and get started. Now I will be working from a swatch just to show you the stitches, and we will start with a row of back loop only single crochets. So you'll start in the second chain from the hook and start working back loop only single crochets in each chain. Well, it's going to feel extremely tedious. It actually won't be that bad because you should be working with a very loose or a very relaxed tension, I should say. Almost loose, but definitely very relaxed. So we want these stitches to be nice and soft. Also, because we're working with such a very relaxed tension, it's much easier to go into that back loop or the third loop. So just remember to turn the chain toward you, and you will see the loops popping out in the back. Single crochet. And then there's the last one. If the first and the last stitches are too difficult to work into, you can go through the front. That's perfectly okay. Now we're going to chain 2 and turn. So now what we're going to do is skip that very first space right next to that turning chain. Skip that into the next space. Work as if for a single crochet for 2 loops on the hook. Pull through 1. Now grab your yarn into the same stitch. Pull up the loop. You now have 4 loops on the hook. Pull through all 4 and chain 1. Now you're going to skip the next space into the next one. Repeat. Pull up a loop for 2 loops on the hook. Pull through 1. Grab your yarn in the same stitch. Pull up the loop. 3 loops on the hook. 4 loops on the hook, I should say. Pull through all 4, chain 1. Skip 1 and repeat. Pull through 1, grab your yarn, pull through all 4 and chain 1. So you will work that all the way to the end. At the end of the row you will have your last 2 stitches. You're going to skip 1 as usual and then work into the last stitch. You're working under the 2 strands, as always, and work the stitches normal. Pull through 1, grab your yarn, pull through 4, chain 2. At the end of the row you chain 2 and turn. Now we're going to begin our repeat row. So we're going to work the same stitches, same stitch, and we're working into the stitch below. So now, do you see that bar right there? The single strand of yarn, and that space to the right of that bar is where we are entering the hook. So right in here. And work your stitches normal. Pull through 1 loop, grab your yarn in the same stitch, 4 loops on the hook, pull through 4, chain 1. So now we skip over. You see where that stitch is? So now we're going to skip over to the next stitch. And I apologize, I don't have a name for this stitch. So I'm going to call it a cluster just for the sake of consistency or clarity. Okay, so there's your next little cluster. There's that big space. There's that bar. So go into the space just before that bar and work your stitches normal. Chain 1. Skip over to the next stitch or cluster, and you will continue this all the way to the end to the last cluster. At the end of the row you've got your last cluster stitch. There's that space, so just work that stitch as normal. Chain 2 at the end of the row, remember? And then you will turn and you will repeat that row. So you start into that very first cluster stitch. And that's it. So just keep working it across. As you can see, this works up fairly quickly. So that long, long panel, while it's going to seem horribly tedious and feel as if you will never get to the end of the row, it just think of this as one of those projects that you can just relax to. Turn on your favorite show on TV, watch a bunch of YouTube videos if you want, and this will go so much faster than you think it will. And look how nice and pliable. This is going to be very drapey. Beautiful, beautiful stitch for this project. Okay, after you have determined your center point, add your stitch marker. I just use strands of contrasting yarn, and then count your 27 inches. And then we're going to work one row of single crochet. And you do want to be working on the right side. Right side is up. And the way you determine the right side is with the tail of the foundation chain. Should be on the left side of the panel. Now attach your yarn with a chain into the first stitch marker. We're going to work single crochets all the way to the last stitch marker. Regular single crochets. Now you will attempt to enter into each stitch. You will need to use your discretion here. Make sure you're working under 2 strands as much as possible. Okay, so now work that all the way to the end. You do want to end with an even number of single crochets. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Make sure you end on an even number at the end of the row. Then you are going to chain 2 and turn, and then continue working in the pattern as you did for the body. Okay, we did our chain 2 and turned. Now we're going to start this exactly the way we started for the body. So if you need to, go back to the very beginning. But I'll give you a little refresher here. So we skipped that very first space. And then work your cluster or your stitch into the next single crochet. Skip the next single crochet into the next single crochet, work your stitch, chain, skip, and work your next stitch. Okay, so do that all the way to the end. You should end with 2 single crochets. There are my last 2 single crochets. So I skipped the 1 and I worked that last cluster, the last stitch into the last single crochet, chain 2 and turn. Now before I continue, and I should have said this before, I don't know if anybody caught that when I was working my single crochets. I was using the wrong hook. You will use the same hook that you've been using throughout. I'm so sorry about that. I don't know how that happened. I had to switch back. Okay, so you're going to turn. And now continue in the pattern. So go ahead and enter your first stitch into that space before the bar, as usual. And then continue working across the row as you did for the body. So now you skip right over to the next stitch. And that's it. When the hood portion measures inches long, we're going to start working some decreases. So measure or find the center at a stitch marker. Now you are going to work in the established pattern until you get to your stitch marker. Now we're going to start working decreases, 2 per row. Okay, so you worked your last cluster stitch. Now skip the next one. Skip it all together. And work your stitch into the next one, the next stitch. Skip the next one again and work into the next cluster stitch. Now keep working across the row to the end in the same established pattern. So what we are doing here is, for the portion, we're going to be folding this over like that. So this end meets the other end of the hood. And this is going to be the seam of the hood. Okay, so what we are doing with these decreases is trying to avoid that point, you know, that ends up looking like a witch's hat, the sharp point. So we're trying to avoid that by creating these decreases. If you are questioning why the hood panel was so really long, again, it's because it's by design. So this is a statement piece. This is not your regular old hood. You're making a statement with this, a fashion statement. Now, if you want to make this a more normal size hood, then, like I said at the very, very beginning, where you were finding your center 27 inches long, and I said if you want this more normal, make it 15 to 17 inches wide, I should say. So then for length, rather than make it inches that this is, large hood, then what you would do is work, I don't know, maybe 6 inches, and then measure it up against your head. Okay, so throw this on. What you are trying to find is work up to the crown of your head. Okay, so like the tip of the head, your head. Okay, so work the panel until you get to the crown of your head. That'll be the length that you need, and then you will work these decrease rows. Exactly the same. Okay, so go ahead and finish this first decrease row. Now in the second row of the decreases, again, find your center point, add the stitch marker or move the stitch marker, work up to that point, skip the next stitch, and go all the way over to the next one and work your cluster stitch. I wish we had come up with a better name than cluster stitch. If anybody knows what this stitch is actually called, please let us know in the comments below. Okay, now skip the next one again. We're doing 2 decreases, and then work into the next cluster. And then complete your row. Then chain 1 and turn and repeat. So continue working these decrease rows 4 more times for a total of 6 decrease rows. And remember, you're decreasing 2 per row. When you have completed your hood, determine the right side and the wrong side of the hood, and we are going to be working on the wrong side. So take the hood, fold it in half, and we are going to be seaming just that top portion. And that's it, and then we'll be done. All right, now to seam, I am going to use a whip stitch. So attach your yarn in the cornermost stitches. So just use a whip stitch. That's just going in and out, in and out. As much as possible, try to work under 2 stitches on each side. That'll give you a stronger seam. And then this is it. You are done. So just clean up your tails, any stragglers, and wear your hooded wrap proudly. This would be something that's just perfect for sitting outside on a cool fall day or evening, out on your porch if you have one. Drinking something nice and warm. And enjoying the autumn season. Thank you so much for watching. Please do come back for the next one. Don't forget that thumbs up, below and comment. Oh, especially let me know what you thought about that intro. I thought I'd try something new and different for the intro. What do you think? Let me know. See ya.